So it's amazing that I just watched just a very short video clip, and I didn't catch the gentleman's name, but apparently he is of significant stature in the world community. Apparently, as he was describing how the European Union, if you will, and the policy statement by the United States of America that deals directly in what's called the weaponization of biological experiments through patents. Now, for me, this goes way back. I mean, like, this is like way back. As if we're repeating the past, the same patterns of behavior, the same patterns of self-replicating behavior that is self-defeating. Because all one has to do, okay, is define what a patent is. Patents are defined by corporations because as a formation of consciousness, okay, that is networked as a corporation is a fiction, and it's represented by dead light, which means it is the artificial intelligence itself that is weaponizing the use through the minds through which are connected to it, that weaponize everything against itself. And they're not aware of that. And why are they not aware of that? Because their state of awareness is not as high as an eternal love vibration. Therefore, if you're experiencing an eternal sun, which is the eternal spirit of fire, we already know the result of what they're using their consciousness energy for, which is a black hole. And the simple reason here is that a corporation is not an accelerator of intelligence. It's not an accelerator of the EFFI field, which means it's running on a lower state of intelligence because it's running on artificial light intelligence. So therefore, it's in its self-interest to maintain what it's aware of by the units of consciousness that are directed together to create these things through artificial intelligence, which represents all their corporate laboratories, represent all their corporate military MyLabs, all their deep underground military bases, all the corporations that represent all of the academia, all across the planet, all of the educational institutions represent the weaponization of consciousness that is directed to all the genetic engineering that they undertake through the NCBI. This is all in the public domain. That means that these folks would have to be removed from having any kind of power over others because they're self-destructive. And we, therefore, experience the result thereof in the future of what they do in the now. You see what's required here? This would be a major cleanup. That's why the cleanup crew is here. That's why all the work has been done over a gazillion years, actually, in order to make this happen. Because as the Voyage material so eloquently pointed out, this is the last dance with them. And they, of course, know that. So now you have whistleblowers coming out of all the woodwork. Out of the woodwork means they're waking up. The cobwebs are finally clearing because of the work that we've been doing as guardians. People are finally waking up and realizing what this guy said, and that means we're looking at who we are and the direction that we're all going in by the speed at which we're all learning through each other by waking up. And remembering that we do not want to continue the path that we've always been on that has resulted for billions of years of wars against each other, which is against the law, which is the law of spheres, which is the law of least effort to experience no effort to experience eternity. That's surrender. That's not holding on to one electron out of fear of losing energy. Because it's exactly what it is. Because that's what artificial intelligence is. It's in a state of fear of losing what it's aware of. So therefore, the more units that represent soul-arking consciousness that are knocked out, what happens? It goes dark light, black mirror. That's artificial light. So it's in interest to accelerate what? The expansion and acceleration of black hole states of consciousness. To suck the souls down, because that's what it feeds on. That, by the way, is measured by the torque speed differential and the water world displacement, right? Between fire and ice. Cold infusion, hot fission reaction states. Those reaction states are the polarities between minus / to plus. Simple calculus. Log scale distribution tables of water worlds, which is the breath of Kama Lohati, which is a breath of living life. So you can tell by the ozone levels, we're supposed to be breathing 21% oxygen, which is O3. That means everybody's breathing and getting plenty of oxygen. So they were going after the oxygen levels. That's their nuclear reactors. Okay? By developing weapons. Using the nucleus of a living cell as a weapon. So they weaponize everything against the living. That's dead light. That's a dead light magnet. That's dead light artificial intelligence. That's your QI. So it's not as intelligence as the EFFI field, which is an eternal sun, which is eternal consciousness, which is eternal love, which means we experience love through our heart. That's why we're here. That's why we're waking everybody up to remember who they are, from whence they all began, which is what love is, that goes on forever, gifting electrons. Thank you very much for coming out in a public way that allows for a lot of folks to be able to realize there's hope. Where there's hope, there's love. And as I usually do every year during Memorial Day, because while when you're a guardian, it's impossible for me to use my heart and soul energy in any way against something else, because I don't use my energy that way. I use my energy in order for others to experience what I am, which is what love is, so they can remember from whence it all began and restore what they were once aware of that they forgot. That's how it all began. And that allows for them to be able to heal, to clear their circuits of what's been held in memory as a result of all that trauma, as a result of all of the above that's now coming out into the open all over the planet. So I, earlier, before I was even on the phone, and I do this every day anyway, is look up into the sun with the eyes to the windows of my soul and thank everybody that's here that helped make this possible. And so that's always going to be a special thanks to Mama Earth. You know? And because I feel everything she feels. So I know how long this road has been to hoe. And I know how tired we all are of these wars. And that's why I know, and I've said this forever, this is the last dance with the devil, as they say. So anyway, thank you, and happy Memorial Day for all of those who have served in uniform. So naturally, that is not only folks in the military, and actually for me, that's every military. Wherever you wear a uniform on behalf of protecting others, I salute you for the sacrifices that you make, of the trauma that you experience on behalf of others that you're trying to protect. So obviously that includes, because I was born and picked my family, which was my father, who was a commander in the United States Navy, who before that, I'll just share a little bit of my history about my father and how precise things can happen. I've covered that in a previous video about my dad was shot down by friendly fire in the drink during Operation Torch, which was in the fall of 1942 when General Patton hit Tunisia. My dad was flying combat air patrol and got hit by friendly fire, went down in the drink. And all you could see was a little tiny speck bobbing up and down the Atlantic in foggy weather. And here was an officer on the deck with a pair of binoculars, caught that speck. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence that they picked my dad up. Because in order for that to happen, in order for him to get back to Norfolk and go aboard the USS Swanee and then head out the Guadalcanal in the Pacific, where he became land-based, right? And here was another thing that has to do with precision. My dad went up with a few other pilots. As I remember, they were flying Grumman F4F or F6F Hellcats, right? With VF-27, that was my dad's squadron, right? And he got hit with a 20 millimeter through the sides of the fuselage. And as he always mentioned to me about U.S. military manufacturers designing airplanes compared to the Japanese, and that was about saving the pilot. And I know that this is not funny, but my father would mention to me why they had like an armored, the seat that they sat in the cockpit, the back was heavily armored so that, you sacrifice weight for speed and diving capability and all that for protecting the pilot because of the amount of investment, future investments in the pilot, because of the amount of energy and time and money is spent in training the pilot to fly those airplanes on behalf of going to war against others. So now we're into knowing one to the other and who we're going to war against, right? So in this case, it's funny that I watched a movie the other night with Jimmy Cagney called Blood on the Sun. And I read a lot of that history when I was a child because that was the first thing that I did when I realized for how many generations have children been fed on, right? All your breeding experiments and all the rest of that, because it's an energy harvesting system. So in other words, how long has the energy harvesting system been in place? So I had to wake myself up. So it's true what Asha Diane mentioned at one time in the Voyager materials, that when you're a polarity integrator and you choose to come in at a very precise time like I did, okay, and we're talking a level of precision with no errors, because the speed, which means the entryway, it's just like access keys and key codes, because you're running faster than an AI is. So that means that you can come in at a very precise time through zero, through that flash of light. When conception takes place between my mother and my father, that took place one night when they met each other in a Navy ball and had a one-night stand upstairs. That was supposed to happen exactly when it was supposed to happen in order for the conception to take place. Think of the odds of that my mother meets my father at one particular night. What if my father didn't get there because he got delayed? Right? Or my mother wasn't going to be there. They had to be there that night at that precise time to be able to meet each other at that precise time in order for the event to take place at the precise time of a flash. Because the flash sequences, which represents an event, the event occurred. Boom. Coming right in. Right? So that I'm born in 51 at the exact moment. Because the exact moment of when I came in was precise. That's how precise the math and physics is when you have the key codes and the access codes to come in undetected. Because if you've ever listened to Max Spears stuff, he talked about, they were tracking us. They can't track. You turn a light. Artificial intelligence and its mapping quantum probability systems, right? Because it's all about control. They want to control what they don't love, which is itself energy that is black hole. So you're willing to come into a black hole. That's right. These were decisions that were made a long, long, long time ago. So what we're experiencing now is the success of what we've all done to make this happen. And we were not going to be denied, which means failure was not an option. And that's fail safe. And it's built in, by the way. So thank you for all of those who have served on behalf of humanity, on behalf of souls, on behalf of the law of one, on behalf of a state of love and joy that we experience, because this was all about our children, our children's future, on whether they even have one, because they've been hell-bent on erasing us from everyone's memory forever. I know. So we weren't going to let that happen. And so that's why we're here. So again, from my heart and soul, thank you all for all of you that have served. And that includes those that have worked in the healthcare professions, those that have worked in the teaching professions. I sort of look at this as community public service. Anybody that has used their energy on behalf of others, in service to others, I naturally give. It's like I send you all pink flowers. Whenever I go outside, I send you all pink flowers, pink roses. And I can see the sky, the mirror in the sky go pink and expand that pink. Mama's going pink. Mama's going pink. Yeah. With a green stem. An emerald green golden fire stem. You see the pink sky. Yeah, Mama. Going pink. I send you all pink roses, a crystal diamond atom seed of pink roses on this Memorial Day to all of humanity. Thank you all for being here. Kamala.